So once the ingestion process has been completed, we move to our main pipeline of RAG. So that is retrieval augmented generation. For firstly, before moving to that, we can look into the guidelines that we have formed. So this is a YAML structure of the guidelines, and as you can see here, we are actually maintaining the logical or the hierarchical structure of each of the sub guidelines too. So this is an improvement of the previous iteration that we had, that earlier we were having some static guidelines, but now we have changed this to dynamic or a formal logical structure of guideline, which helps us to maintain the sub guidelines information and each of the specific sub guidelines conditions. So for implementing this through RAG, we take on each query, we process this through our large language model, and we get a response for that. Moreover, if the condition or the criteria is not met, we also provide the reason of why it is not being met or what is not present in the EHR that is expected. So we have a trade-off too, which basically helps us to maintain information which needs to be explicitly mentioned. For instance, the ABI value less than 0.90, and we have also information which needs to be semantically mentioned, so that is ischemic restraint, and we have formed a good trade-off between that so that you can work through both of these, and the qualitative things and the quantitative things are covered equally. So currently the model that we are using for getting a response for these queries is a DeepSeek distill model, and again we take on each query based on the hierarchical structure. We run these queries and form an output similar to this. Now this output basically looks into each of the sub criteria that we had and tells us firstly the status of whether the criteria has been met or not based on the sub conditions that we have, and gives you an overall assessment too. But let's firstly go into a sub criteria. For instance, in this case, claudication say status criteria met, but the ABI value was not mentioned. So it has given us that the reason the EHR text does not explicitly mention the ABI or this genosis value. However, the monophasic waveform by ultrasound was true, and through our guidelines, we know that at least one of this guidelines needs to be true. Hence, this criteria has been met, and that is why claudication was true. So we do this for all the three different sub criteria that we had, and provide a overall assessment of medical necessity, and we have tried to keep it as close as to the original declining or rejection letters provided by insurance companies, so that we could get firstly as close as to the actual output as possible and try to be as accurate as possible. So this is how the basic RAG pipeline also works, and internally in this iteration we have improved on the uh, retrieval side of the process, where we are not only just getting results based on semantics, we are using keyword search, we are using diversity sampling, we are using cross encoder scoring, and that has improved our accuracy. What further steps we could take is just improve our prompt fine tuning, and basically adding some domain knowledge to a prompt too. So I believe going through another iteration will significantly improve our results too, and yeah, that is our result.